Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back. So as in the previous video, we decided that we will be using Elementor Page Builder for this particular course. In this video, we will be working up with the basics of Elementor. Now Elementor is quite confusing when you start learning it, but as you progress with this course, you will find that Elementor is the easiest plugin out there in the market. Now there are three things that confuses beginners the most, and those are sections, columns, and elements. And Elementor revolves around these three things. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. Let's take a basic structure of Elementor Page Builder, which is this. So now here is basically the basic boilerplate of Elementor. And you can see that I have made some squares, and this is right here. Now this blue square that is right here will be considered as a section, and S represents that. The maroon square right here will be considered as a column, and C represents that. And then this blue line, which is really very thin, will represent the element. So right here, you can see that first of all we have this section, and inside this section we have a column, and inside this column we have an element. So element can be anything. Element can be like a heading, element can be like a paragraph, an element can be like an image, an element can be like animation boxes that we will be adding on our website like this. So everything that is coming right here will be considered as element, whether it is this, whether it's a button, whether it's a heading, whether it's an image, or whether it's an icon box. Everything will be considered as an element. So now basically the number one thing is basically the section. And inside this section, you can add a column, and inside that column, you can add multiple elements. Now, here comes one thing. An element can be stacked under the other element or above the element, which means that inside this section, you can see I have a column, and inside this column, I have two elements. So I can do it like that. Like inside this column, I have one element, and then I have two elements. Let's take a look at it. First of all, what I want you guys to do is to make sure that you install the Elementor Page Builder, and then you are in the Elementor Page Builder on your home page. Now, once you will be on your home page, make sure that there is nothing, and your home page should look like this. So first of all, what we need to do is that we need to add a section. And what we will do, we will just click on this plus button over here, and the section is added in the background. Now it's telling you that how many columns you want to add. So we want to add a one single column so that we can add elements in it. So what we will do is that we will just select that we want to add one single column. And right here, you can see that this blue line that is coming will represent the section, and this dotted line that is coming will represent the column. And then in here, you can add elements inside this. So let's take a look at it. If I want to get the heading, I'm going to drag the heading and I'm going to drop it, and you can see that the heading has been headed here. Same like this, what I can do is that I can add a paragraph. I can just drop it, and this is going to be added here. But let's suppose that I want this heading to be here, and then I want some other elements right here before that. Like let's suppose that I need an image to be right here, but I can only stack the image either below any element or above any element, like which means that I can only add elements vertically. I cannot add the elements horizontally. And here comes the part of the column. So if you want to add anything horizontally, then you can add two columns like this. You can see that inside a section, you can add two columns into it, and you can design something like this. So inside this section, I have one column. In this column, I have an image, and the other column, I have a heading, I have a paragraph coming. So let's take a look at it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just click cross on it, and I'm going to just click on this sign right here, and I'm going to say that I need two columns. Now here you can see I have two columns. Now what I will do is that in the first column, I will drag an image, I will drop it, and here now I can upload the image, but I will not show you how to upload it. We will be just understanding it later on. This video is just only for understanding about sections, columns, and elements. That's it. You do not have to worry about styling, how to style it, how to do different type of things. We will be talking about them later on. And then in here I can drag a heading. Just click this button over here that says this, so that you can go into the elements page and you can drag anything else over here. And now right here I can add a paragraph, and then I can just select all. I can copy, I can paste, and paste. And now you can see that my structure right here is that I have an image, and then in here I have a heading, and then I have a paragraph. And same goes with this. Like, I have a section, and inside this section I have a column, and inside this column I have an image, and in the other column I have a heading, and then I have a sentence, or I have a paragraph. Now let's take a look at this. If I just click on it and I just open up my Elementor editor, first of all I have this section. This blue thing represents the section, alright? And then inside this section I have a column. When I bring my mouse to it, you can see that the column is right here, and this dotted line that is coming represents the column, and then this other column which is coming right here represents this. So what have we learned so far? We learned one thing, basically two things, is that elements can be stacked over one another vertically, which means that you can add an element, and then right below that or right above that you can add another one. Or what you can do is that you can also add any other element in between them. But if you want to add elements side by side, then you need to work with the columns, because columns can work horizontally, which means that you can stack columns horizontally. You can even just change their spacing. So let me show you. Like, you can see that if I need the image to be much smaller, I'm going to just hover my mouse to this, and you can see this sign right here. I'm going to drag this, and I'm going to do it like this. And now you can see how this column is much more shorter and how this column is much more bigger. So this is how you can even do it. Same like this, you can add multiple columns so that your columns can look like this. Like, you can add 1 column, 2 column, and 3 column, and you can do it like that. So let's suppose that I need to add one more column. What I will do is that I will right click on this column, and here it says add new column. I'm going to click on it, and I have another column. And here I can add pretty well anything. Like, let's suppose that I want to add Google Maps. I'm going to drop it right here, and here will be the Google Maps. I can just add the address, and here will be the Google Map coming. So I can even do it like this. Now let's go ahead and let's move back to the first part where we understand it about the section. So section is basically a part of a website. That means that in this section, what you can do is that you can add particularly anything. So let's take a look at this website that we will be building as our second project for this particular course. So here you can see that this is how the website will look like. And here, this is actually a one section. This is actually another section. And this is actually another section that we have over here. So inside this section, now here you can see that inside this section, we have a column, which is right here. And inside this column, we have a text element, and we have another text element stacked over one another. Now, what is this? This is basically a section, and inside this section, we have 4 columns, which is this, and inside this column, we have a text element. So this is how basically it's working. Same like this is a section, and inside this section, we have 1 column, and then we have another column, and then we have another column. So here we have basically 3 columns, and this is how it's looking. Now you have noticed one thing. Let me show you what. If I just open up this website, and then I just cross it right here, and then I want to add a 1 single column. Now here you can see that the section takes the full width of the page. However, the column is just like that. Now let me show you what I mean. Basically, you can see that the section takes the full width of the page and the column takes just like a limited width of page. Now this is great in terms of websites, like if a website is viewed on a large screen, then if you are using a background image, then you can upload that background image to a section so that it won't matter. However, the text should be aligned in such a way that it should be using that. So let me show you. Like you can see that when I just drag and drop, just do it like this, so you can see that my content, everything that's been right here is just like aligned this way. So you can see that everything is aligned this way. Now if I just bring my mouse above here, so you can see how everything is working. Now this is actually the column. The section can stretch, and in the section you can add a background color, and in the section you can just either keep it to be white, and in the section you can even add a background image. And mostly the sections contain the background images, so that even if a website is viewed on a large screen device, then it would not matter. But the content of the column is actually this way, so that the column sizing is universal for whole website, so that the website view is not changed. And you can see how great this website is looking. Same goes with the Elementor, because in the Elementor the section is actually the full width. However, the column is actually the size that you can work with. You can just click on this edit column and you can work with the column width, like how much you need, and you can pretty well work with it. But we will be talking about that later on in the detail. First we have to understand the section and column. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at another one. Now here you can see that first of all we have this section, and then we have another section. Now sections can be stacked vertically. Now what have we learned so far? Elements can be stacked vertically, which means that after an element you can add an element. The column can be stacked horizontally. That means that right after this column you can add a column, and you cannot add a column below any column. So you can just add a column beside a column, but you can add elements beneath an element or above the element. Same goes with the section. And the section is that after the section you can add another section that will come right after this. You cannot have sections like this section and then another section right here. You cannot do it this way. Let's have a look at that. So you can see that first of all I have a section, and inside this section I'm going to get a heading right here, and right down below now I can add another section, and in this section I can have a 2 column, and in the first column I can have an image, and in the second one I can have a text, and I can have a paragraph right down below. So you can see that this is how it's working. Now I have 2 sections. First I have this section, and then I have this section. Now you can see if I want to edit this section I can edit it, and for the editing purposes we will be having a separate video, so do not worry about it. But what we wanted to learn is that first you can have a section, and then right after that you can have a section. And same is happening with this website. We have a section, and after that we have another section, and after that we have another section, and inside that we are having columns, so do not worry about it. But let's take a look at something, which is this. Can you just add columns vertically as well? Like let's suppose that if we want to add a section, and inside this section we want to add column, column, column. Like columns can be stacked horizontally, but can the columns be stacked vertically? Let's go ahead and let's test it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just close this, and I'm going to add just like 3 columns. Now you can see that the 3 columns are right here. But let's suppose that I want to add another column right down below. Can I do that? If I just go ahead and I just click add a new column, the column will be stacked horizontally. I cannot just bring the column down below. I can just change its position to right, left, 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 left. I can do it like that, but I cannot just do up, down. So how can you do that so that your column can look like this and we can achieve a design like this? So you can see that I have columns and then I have columns. So if I want to achieve a design like this, how I'm going to do that? So you can see this is actually a section, and then inside this section I have a column, and inside this column I have this, and then I have this right here. So how can we basically achieve this design? Let's take a look at this. Now there are two solutions for that. Let's take a look at them and let's understand them. What you can do is that you can create two sections, like this section and then this section, and then in this section you can have three columns, and in this section you can have three columns, and then you can design it to be looking like this. Alright, so let's take a look at that and let's understand how it's going to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just cross this. I'm going to create a new section with three columns. And then in these columns, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to uncheck this Pro right here, and I'm going to get this icon box right here, and I'm going to drop it right here. So you can see that in this website, we are actually using the icon box. All right. So this is right here. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this icon box. I'm going to duplicate this icon box, and I have three icon boxes over here. Now I'm going to drag this icon box over here, and I'm going to drag this icon box over here. So now you can see that this is how it's looking. But if I want to add another column into it, then I cannot drag this column right down below. And the tweak to that is that what you can do is that you can add a new section with the same three columns again. And then what you can do is that you can go ahead and you can duplicate it, and you can just drag it right here. Then you can go ahead and you can duplicate it. Then you can drag it right here, and then you can go ahead and you can duplicate it, and then you can drag it right over here. So then this is basically achieved in a way, so like you can have two sections, and inside this section you can have multiple elements onto it. And then what you can do is that you can achieve this design in a way. But let's suppose that if we wanted to build it this way. Let's suppose that if we want to achieve this design, then how are we going to achieve this design? So you can see this is actually a section. Then inside this section we have a column, and inside a column how are we going to basically design this? So for that, here comes a tweak, and that is called the intersection. So how does the intersection works? This will really confuse you guys. Don't worry, just open up your mind, just watch and see what I am doing. All right, so basically you can see that I have a section, and inside this section I have a column, and then I can add an intersection, and then I can add multiple columns into it. Let's take a look at this. Let's suppose that we want to achieve this. So first of all, what we will do is that we will create a section. Let's go ahead and let's do that. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on it. I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm going to first create a section with a single column. All right. And now you can see that this section is created. Now what I need is that I need two columns so that the text can be in here and this boxes can be in here. So what I would do is that I would need to add two columns. So what I will need to do is that I will say that I want to add a new column. And now in here, there should be a text, and then there should be a text editor down below, and then I need a button. All right, so I need it this way. Now I'm going to just do it like this. Now, what I want is that I want two columns right here. I want two columns, and then I want two columns as well. So which means that I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this. So how am I gonna go ahead and how I'm gonna do that? And here comes a tweak, and that tweak is here is actually an intersection. So intersection can be added inside a column, and when you add it, you get a section, and you also get 2 columns by the default. So now what you can do is that you can get an icon box over here, and you can get an icon box over here, and then you can just go ahead and you can duplicate this intersection, so you ultimately get icon box and icon box. Now here you can see that we have ultimately achieved this type of design. So this is what I actually wanted to show you. Now I hope that your confusion is a little bit clear. Now let's take a look at them. Let's overview everything, and then we're going to end this video, and then we will be working up with our styling for the Elementor basics. Now, a section is the one that is the most important thing. Inside a section, there should be a column, and inside a column, there can be any element. Now, elements can be stacked over one another, but elements cannot come as a side by side. And if you want elements to be added side by side, then you should be adding columns, and the columns can be added horizontally, and you can add multiple stuff into it. So if you want to build this design, then you can add 2 columns. Inside the column, you can add an element, and then in here, you can add an element right here, and you can achieve design this way. Now, you can have multiple columns, and the columns can only be stacked horizontally, which means that the column can be added this way, but column cannot come right down below. If you want to achieve this design, then you have 2 options. Either you can create 2 sections and add columns into it, or you can create a section, add a column, and then you can add an intersection and add multiple columns to it, and then you can add an intersection and add multiple columns to it to achieve this particular thing. Now I hope that you have got a clear idea of how everything worked so far. So from the next video, we will learn the basic styling of Elementor, and after that, we will be going ahead and we will be designing this website. So stay tuned, guys, and bye-bye. Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back. So in this video, we will be working up with the Elementor styling. Now, as you can see that in the previous video, we worked with the Elementor basics, and we understand it about like sections, columns, and elements. Now in this video, we will be working up with the Elementor styling, and we're going to be taking a look at layout, content, style, and advanced tabs that Elementor shows. Let me show you. So basically, if you take a look at any of the thing here, like let's suppose that when I want to edit this button, I'm going to right click on this button and it says edit button. If I just click on it, I get 3 things. The number one is the content, the other one is the style, and then we have the advanced. So now in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the most of the styling that are used in sections, columns, and the elements right here. So let's take a look at the section 1. Now if you go to any of the section and then you edit it, like this section, and then you right click on it and then you just click on it that says edit section, we get layout, we get styles, and we also get advanced. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the most used styling that are used in a section. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. So what I want you guys to do is to make sure that you are in the Elementor editor, and there are nothing right here. Now what you can do is that you can create a new section by just clicking the plus button and then selecting your column. And then what you can do is that you can add a heading right here. So that's it. This is how your section should look like. Now for this section, we basically use section for 5 things, mostly used. And I will be explaining you these 5 things only, but as you will progress with this course, then you will be understanding much more things without the need of just telling you right here. Otherwise, you will get confused. So basically, section is used for height control. Let's take a look at it. Now, if you take a look at this website, right here, you can see that the section size is this much right here. And then we have got so much height from here, and we have got so much height from here. So section is mostly used for the height control. Now let's take a look at it. what I'm going to do is that I'm going to right click on this right here that says edit section. I'm going to click on it, and now in here I am in the layout. So in the layout, you can control the height of this section. Now, height of this section is right here, and it says by the default. So when it is set to default, it's going to take the content size of the section. And like, let's suppose that if I just add another heading down below, my section is going to increase just like that. So this is how the default works. I'm going to just delete this heading, and I'm going to go back to the edit section, and I'm going to come up here to the default. Now I'm going to select, like, you can even set this to fit to screen, and whatever the size of the screen, it's going to stretch that. And if you just click this arrow icon over here, now you can see this is actually fit to my screen. So when I will just move up to any of the smaller screen size device, then it's going to just set the height of my section to that. Or what you can do is that you can even set this to a minimum height, and then you can set like what should be the minimum height of your section. So you can just increase that, or you can even decrease that. Now this is really great when you want to add a heading right here and you want to upload a background image. Let me show you. So if we go to itanzeel.com, which is going to be our project for this course, obviously. And so you can see that right here, I have some spacing down below. I have some spacing right up here. So what is happening is that we are actually giving some of the height, a minimum height to this particular section, so that it just have a breathing space right from the top and bottom. Same like this, we have some breathing space from the top and bottom, and we have some breathing space from this and this. So this is what is happening, is that we are basically setting a height for this. Same like this, now we have this inner width. Now let's take a look at it, what inner width is and how you can control the inner width of a section. Now if you take a look at this, now all these sections that we have are actually in applying the same width, that is this much that is being added over here. Now you can see that everything is aligned in a way that our website is looking much more clean. But let's suppose that you want to make any of your section much more bigger, so that the content is right here and you want to increase the width of it. Then how you're going to do that? Let's take a look at the inner width. So for the inner width, what you can do is that you can select your section, and then we have this width. And width is actually selected to the box, and that has a default value. But let's suppose that I want to increase it so that it is actually full width. If I just click on it, then it will be full width, and whatever the screen size you have, it will be fully width. It will have a full width. All right. Same like this. If I just select box, then I can just decrease the width. Like, let's suppose that I want to decrease the width, then here should be my content, and my content will not grow outside of it. Same like this, you can increase it like how much you want. But most of the time we use 1200 pixels for our website, and we do not go beyond that. Like, our content should be right in here, and whatever we want to add, we will add in here. Like, if we need something right here, we will add it right here. So like, you can suppose, like, when we are in class and we want to write something on the paper, our teacher says that you have to give some margin. So this is actually, like, you can say that this is going to be a margin right from here and right from here as well, so that your content should be aligned in such a way that your website should be looking beautiful. Same like this, you can see that our content here, our logo, our menu, our top bar is also aligned with 1200 pixels, so it is not going beyond that. And most website uses 1200 pixels to be their width. Same like this, you can increase it how much you want, and you can go beyond that. But I'm going to be using 1200 over here. Now let's take a look at the background color. So you can apply a background color to any of your section. Like, if you take a look at this website, we do have a background overlay. We do have this, but here we have a background color to this particular whole section that says what I can do. So if you want to upload a background color, then what you can do is that you make sure that you are in the edit section over here, and then you need to look. Like, we don't have this color, so we're going to go into the style, and now we have this background type. Now you're going to have to select a classic one, and now it says the color. So you can set any of the color you like, And there we go. We have a background color right here. Same like this, you can upload a background image. And when you want to upload a background image, then what you're going to do, we're going to first go ahead and clear our background color. Then what we're going to do, we're going to select an image by just right here. If you just go into the classic again, you can see we have this image. And what you can do is that you can select any image, you can upload that cover image, and then you can just add it right here. Now you can see that we do have an image, and this is how the image is actually working. So you can also work with the background image, and the last one is the background overlay. You can also work with the background overlay. So if you want to add a background overlay on top of image, you can do that by just going into the style. Let me just show you from the start. I'm going to click this gear icon so that I'm right here. You're going to want to have to right click on it, click edit section, go into the style, and then in here you can see we have so many sections. We have background and background overlay. You can just click on it, you can select a classic one, and you can add a color on top of it. And now you can just increase the opacity or you can decrease the opacity however you like. So these are the most used styling that we will be using in this particular course, and that is why I wanted to give you an overview. Now there are a lot of stylings, as you can see. There is the border, there is the shape divider, and there is a lot of things that you can also work with them. You can take a look at them, you can understand how they are working, but don't worry, even if you do not want to do, as long as we will be progressing with this course, you will be able to understand much more things without the need of just like explaining you. So now let's take a look at the columns one. So for the column, we have the width, we have the background color, we have the box shadow, and then we have the border. So these are the most used styling that we mostly do for our column. So let me just open up the Photoshop right here. I'm going to go down, and you can see that these are actually the columns right here. These are the columns, and this is the whole column that we have. So like, let's suppose that this is a section. Then what we are doing is that we have a column inside it. Then what we have is that we have inside this, we have an inner section. And in this inner section, we have one column, and then we have another column. So this column has a background color of white, and this column has a background color of white. And same like this, all these four columns has a background color of white. That is why they're looking much more clean. Now let's take a look at it, and let's just see if we can use this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open up my website right here. I am going to just cross everything. I'm going to create a new section. I'm going to go into the select the column, and now I'm going to click edit section. I'm going to go to the style, and I'm going to choose a color. So let me just choose the colors to be black. I'm going to go to the layout, and I'm going to set it to be a minimum height so that I do have a minimum height just like that. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add another column. I'm going to click add new column so that I have two columns. And then what I will do is that I will add a heading right here. So it's going to say the best website. And then what I will do is that I will add an intersection right in here so that I have two columns. And now in here, I can add a web design and then some of the content. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get text, and then I'm going to get a text editor right down below so that I do have some of the text. And now you can see that this is how it's looking. So what I will do now is that I will just go ahead, I will duplicate this column, and then I will delete this column so that I have two columns just like that. And now what I can do is that I can right click on it, click edit column, and then I have so many things. I have layout, I have style, I have advanced. So what I can do is that I can go into the style, and I can select a classic color, and then I can set this to white, and now you can see how is it looking. So what I can do is that I can copy this column, and then I can right click on this column, and I can say that I want to paste the style of the column that I just copied. And now you can see this is how it's looking. So we are actually just getting this design, but there is some spacing, and this spacing is actually given by margins and paddings. And so for that, we will have a new video that will be right after this, and inside that video we will be understanding that. So now we are fully done with the background color. Same like this, you can apply a box shadow as well. So let's take a look at it. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on this arrow, and I'm going to right click on this edit column, and in the style I have this border. So in the border I have this box shadow. I can just add a shadow of, like, let's suppose that I want to give a red color shadow, and then I can just increase it horizontally, vertically, and I can work with the blur right here. So now you can see that we do have this shadow right here. So if I just delete this column right here, I have one single column, and then I have a shadow right here of this box that is coming. So we also use column for that. Same like this, we also use column for the width as well. So let's suppose that if you want to change the width of it, you can just go ahead and you can do that. You can go into the layout and you can work with the column width. So if I need it to be 50%, then I'm going to do it. But you can see that I cannot go for 50%. And the reason for that is because I don't have two columns in this section. So what I will do is that I will add a new column, and then this width of this column will be automatically set to 50%. So now if I want to decrease it, like let's suppose that I want to set it to 30, then it will be 30, and this will be 30, this column, and this column will be actually 70 automatically. So if I just right click on this, then you can see that this is actually 70. So let's suppose that I want to make it to be 90, then it's going to be 90, and this is going to be 10 automatically. So you can work with the column width inside of a section as well. Then the last one is actually the border. So border is also mostly used for the column. So if I just right click on it, and then I go into the style, and then I go into the border, then I have this border right here. So you can upload, add a border, like you can set a solid color, and you can set the color to be red, and then you can increase the boldness of it. So let's suppose that I increase it from every side, then you can see I do get a red border right here. Now if I just set this to like 2 pixels, then you can see how amazing it's looking, just like that. So you can add a border as well, and same like this, you can add border radius. So let's suppose that I want to add 20 pixels from every side, then you can see how this element gets curved, and this is what we call as a border radius. So these are the things that you mostly do with the column. Now don't worry about it, there are a lot of things that you do with a column, like you can give some spacing from every side, you can give spacing from the inside as well, and these are mostly done using margins and paddings that we will be talking in the next video. Now let's take a look at the elements. So for the elements, we mostly use the elements for the content, color, and font size. Let's take a look at it. Now, if you take a look at any of the elements, like this is the element, if I just right click on it and then I click edit heading, we have the content. So you mostly use the element for adding some of the content, like we want to write something, so we can write it with this. The other one is the color, so you can use the element for changing the color. If we go into the style, then we have this color, so you can click on it and you can change the color of it. And same like this, you use the element for the font and the size of it. So let's suppose that you want to increase the size of it, you can do it. In the typography, if you click this item over here, here we have the size. So you can increase the size, you can decrease the size, and there are a lot of other styling as well that we will be able to understand it as long as we will be progressing with this course. So these are the 3 main things we do with the elements. Now, I hope that you have got a basic idea of what are the things we use mostly in styling, the basic styling of Elementor. Now from the next video, we will be taking a look at margins and paddings, what they are. They are a bit more confusing, so I want you to pay attention in that video. So from the next video, we will be talking about margins and paddings. Stay tuned, guys, and bye-bye. Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back. So in this video, we will be working up with the margins and the paddings, and this comes in the Elementor Advanced tab. So if you go to the website right here, now let's suppose that I add a section and then I add a full column, and now right here I add a heading right here. Now this is the heading that is right here. Now in the advanced, if I just click on it, I get margin and I get the padding. So we're going to be understanding these two things, as these two things are really very critical when you are designing a website. And also these things are really hard to understand at first, but as you will progress with this course, it will be very much easier for you. And after this video, you will be amazed to see how easy it is to work with the margins and paddings. So you have worked with the margin already before, like when you wanted to write something on your copy on a page, you just draw a line and then you write it. So that is actually what we call as a margin. Same like this, if you open up Microsoft Word, we do get margin from the top and from the left as well. And when you are writing something, you can just write it just like that. So if I just go to lipsum.com, I just hit generate lorem ipsum, I copy out the whole paragraph, and I just go into the Microsoft Word and I just paste it. You can see that what is happening. We do have some spacing from the left, from the top, and from the right here as well. And right from the bottom, we do get it. So if I just go ahead, I just copy everything and I just paste it twice. Then you can see that on the first page, I do get from the bottom as well. So these are actually the spacing. And same goes with the margin and the padding. So margin and padding are actually spacing. Now margin is the space outside the element, and the padding is the space that is inside the element. So this is very much easy. Just keep that in mind. Margin is the space that is outside the element, and padding is the space that is inside the element. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. Now what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to create a new section, go into the column, select the first column, and then just drag the heading right here. Now you can type in here anything, and now what you need to do is to go into the style, change your styling, and increase the font size a bit so that you can see what we are doing in here. Alright, and now what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to just edit the heading again, right click on it, click edit heading, and now go to the advanced, and in the advanced go into the border right here. And now in the border, just select the border to be solid border. Select a color, so we're going to be selecting the color to be red, just like that. And we're going to be increasing the width of the border. Alright, so now you can see that this is how it's looking. We have an element, and this element is actually the heading. Now here the blue line is coming right here, that is representing that this is an element. So if I just set my border to none, then you can see this blue line is actually coming when this heading is selected, telling you that this is actually the element that has been selected. Now when I apply the solid color to it, this blue line is basically still there, but it is not quite visible, so that is why I just wanted to tell you. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the padding, and let's take a look at the margin. So padding is basically the space that is inside. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to increase the padding right from here. I'm going to bring my mouse to it and I'm going to just increase the padding. So see what is happening. When we increase the padding is increased from top, right, bottom, and left, and every side is getting a padding right here. So basically the spacing is being given from the inside of the element. Now, if I just go ahead and I add the margin, I just increase it, see what happens. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to hold it, and then see what is happening is that the margin creates spacing outside the element. So when you want to give spacing inside the element, you add padding, and when you want to give spacing outside the element, you add margin. Now this might be very confusing to you guys. Do not worry, we're going to be taking a look at an example, and after that you will be able to understand it much better. Let's take a look at the same example I was referring to. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to quickly design this, and then we're going to see how we can give some spacing from the top, bottom, and everywhere to these particular columns right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a section with 2 columns. In this column, I'm going to be adding this text, and the other column will have an inner section. So let's just go ahead and let's add a text, and then let's add a text editor, and then let's add a button down below. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click edit section. I'm going to set it to have a minimum height, just like that. And now I'm going to go into the style. I'm going to go to the classic color, and I'm going to choose my color just like that. And now you can see we do get a design of this. Now what you can do is that you can style your headings and text like that, but we're not going to be doing that. We are basically focusing on this thing right here. So what we want to do is that we want to add 2 columns, and then we want to add 2 columns right down below. And so for that, what you need is that you need to have an inner section. Now in this inner section, what we will do is that first of all, we will be adding a heading. And this heading will tell us about our service, that is the web design. All right, this is going to be our first service. I'm going to align this to center right here. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go into the edit column, right click on this, click edit column, go to the style, and then select the background color to be white. All right. Then what you can do is that you can right click on the heading, click edit heading, go to the style, and change the text color to black. All right. Now what you can do is that you can get the text editor and drop it right here, and then you can just add a one single sentence. And now what you can do is that you can go to the style, and then you can select like center it, and now you can select the color to be black. Now if you take a look at this, we do get a design like this. All right, but now what we need to do is that we need to add another element. We just need to basically duplicate this. So what we can do is that we can right click on this column, click duplicate, and now we get 3 columns. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to delete this. Now what has happened is that we have 2 columns. Now what we will do is that we will go ahead and we will duplicate this section, inner section right here, so we do get like 4 columns. Now what we will do is that we will change the second one to SEO, graphic design, and mobile app. So now what we need to do, we need to give spacing from this column, and we need to give spacing from this. And what we mean, we are selecting this column. So when we are selecting this column, we need to give spacing right here. And what we are doing is that we are giving the space outside the element. So if you take a look at it, this is the element. All right. The element that I'm referring is actually the column, because I want to give spacing from the column. So I want to give spacing outside the column right here. And when we want to give spacing outside, what do we use? We use margin. So what we will do is that we will select our first column. We will click edit column on it. And then what we will do is that we will go to the advanced. And now we want to give spacing outside. So we will say that we want to just give some margin. So what we want to do, we want to give some margin from the right side so that we do get some spacing. Now, see what happens. When I want to give spacing from the right side, so let's suppose that I increase it, the margin is given from every single side right here. Now, let's suppose that I want to give margin from only the right side. Then what I would do is that I would first set this to 0, and then I would need to just uncheck this that says link values together, and now I can give any of the margin from each specific side where I want to give. So what I will do is that I will increase it. I will say that I want to give 10 pixels, and now you can see I do get some spacing right from here. So let's suppose that I just say that I want to give a margin from the right to be 5 pixels. And now you can see I do have some spacing. So now I want to give this margin to every side of the column. So what I will do is that I will right click on this column. I will copy the style. I will right click on this column. I will paste the style. I will right click on this column. I will paste the style, and I will right click on this column, and I will paste the style. Now if I just click on this arrow, you can see that I do get the spacing right here. But I want to give the spacing from the top as well. So for the top, what I would do is that I would select this column, and I would go to the advanced, and now I want to give this spacing from the top as well. So I will say that I want to give 5 from the top. All right. And now I would select this column again. I would go to the advanced, and I would say that I want to give 5 from the top. And now you can see that I have got this much spacing right here, and we are getting this particular design that we already did, and we do have this spacing that we wanted to give. Now, here you can see that inside this column, we have some spacing. We have some spacing right here, and we have some spacing right here, and we have some spacing right here, and we have some spacing right here. So what we would need to do for that? And so for that, what you need to do is to give padding. So how do you give padding? Let's just go ahead and let's click edit column, and let's increase the padding. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on this up right here, and now you can see that when I'm giving the padding, how the spacing is being created from the top and the bottom. So on just reaching 35, we do get the exact same spot. So when you have reached this, what you can do is that you can copy the style and you can paste the style right here. And now you can go ahead and you can select this column as well, and you can set this to 35 for the padding, and you can set this to 35 for the padding as well. Now, I would recommend you to watch this video once again so that you can see what we did over here. We gave the padding on this column so that we do get spacing from the inside, and we gave the spacing outside so that we do get just like we can just separate these particular columns, and we do get a spacing right here. And now you can see that this design is kind of like matching this design that is right here. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's take a look at another example so that you can understand what I have told you. Now, if we go above, you can see that this is already another section. All right, this is basically another section. And how this section is created, like this section is half above, then we have 4 columns. So how this section is created, we want to see that. So what we will do is that we will go ahead and we will create our Elementor right here. And then what we will do is that we will create a 4-column section. This is a section, and we have 4 columns right here exactly like this. All right. So now what we will do is that we will go ahead and we will add some counters in it. So we will just click on this right here. We will go down, and where it says the counter, we're going to just drag it and drop it right here. And now what we will do is that we will go ahead and we will copy this, and we will paste it here, and we will paste it here, and we will paste it here. So now we have these counters right here. Now what we need to do is that we need to basically bring this counters right above here so that we can see this in a square type thing right here. So for that, what you need to do is that you need to select this section, and now you need to bring this section right on just a little bit above here. So what you will do is that you will go to the advanced, and now you can see that when we wanted to give some margin, if we were to give some margin from the top, I'm going to unlink the value so that the margin is actually given from the top as well. So when I increase the margin, my element goes down because like the spacing is being created from the top on this particular section. But if I just decrease my margin and then I decrease it so, then you can see that my margin is going into the minus, and then my numbers are just going a little bit above, just like that. And you can see that how is this performing. So we have this numbers right here. And now what you can do is that you can go ahead and you can select edit column. You can go to the style. You can add a white color on it. All right. And now what you can do is that you can go ahead and you can copy this item, and you can paste the style, and you can come up here and paste the style, and you can come up here and paste the style. So now you can see that we have got this design right here, and this is right here coming. Same like this, if you want to give border right down below, you can add that too. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to have to select edit column, go into the border, and we want to give the border a solid color, and we want to give it only in the bottom. So what we will do, we will unlink the values, and we will give a border. All right, the border is actually 4 pixels. Now what you can do is that you can copy this style, you can come up here and you can paste the style, and you can come up here and you can paste the style, and you can come up here and you can paste the style. And now when you will click this arrow, you can see we do get a border right here. So now if I just go ahead and I add another section, I just add a full section, and right here I add a heading, and then I add a text editor. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy everything and paste it just like that. And now you can see that this is how it's looking. So now let's suppose that I want to give some spacing from the top. Then what I would need to do, I would need to select this section. I would go to the advanced. I would unlink the values, and I want to give spacing from the top. So what I would need to do is that I would increase my margin just like that till I get my perfect spot, and now I do have the spacing. So this is how the margins and the paddings works, and now you can see that how we have achieved this design, and we have added this design over here, and we have implemented this. Same like this, we have also achieved this design that is right here. Now, there are a lot more designs that we will be working up throughout this course that will be done with the margin and the padding. So I would recommend you to go ahead and rewatch this video once again so that you can understand like how margin and how paddings work. And after that, you can go ahead and you can work on with this particular course. Stay tuned, guys, and bye-bye.